Have you ever felt something within you begin to move without apparent reason? Like a silent, deep, and persistent voice whispering that there is more to life than what you have known until now. It is not a logical thought, nor a fleeting emotion. It is a calling, an ancient, mysterious calling, born from the soul that awakens when its moment arrives and cannot be ignored. This calling is not random or accidental. It is a signal that you are beginning one of the most sacred and transformative journeys a human being can undertake: spiritual awakening. Not a superficial awakening of ideas or beliefs, but one that shakes the very foundations of your identity, that tears you from illusions and invites you to see reality with completely new eyes and perception of existence itself. Although each awakening is unique, like an unrepeatable energetic fingerprint written in the cosmos, there exist common stages that most seekers traverse throughout history. These stages are like thresholds marking the passage from an old version of yourself toward one more authentic, free, and connected with the divine source. In this video, we will explore together the 5 stages of spiritual awakening that transform lives, not as a rigid map or blueprint, but as a living guide, allowing you to understand at what point of your journey you find yourself and where you are moving toward with certainty. From the initial chaos that shakes your world to the serene clarity of the rooted soul, each stage has its purpose, its power, and its mystery. This will not be a simple, informative review, but a deep, symbolic, and energetic exploration of the transformation process that all conscious beings are destined to live. You are invited to listen with an open heart, to allow yourself to feel what resonates deeply, and most importantly, to remember that you are not alone on this path. Because if you are watching this video, it is very likely that your soul has already begun to awaken. And this may be one of the clearest signs that your transformation is already underway and already in motion within you. The 5 stages you will discover are not sequential levels to achieve, but cyclical passages through which consciousness evolves and expands. Each one contains a teaching, a gift, and a sacred dissolution. Together they form a sacred spiral, ascending toward the divine, not a linear path. Understanding them is understanding yourself at the deepest level of your being. Spiritual awakening is not a modern invention, nor a fleeting trend of personal growth. It is an ancestral process, recorded in the hidden pages of sacred texts, guarded in forgotten temples and transmitted orally through mystery schools since immemorial times. What today we call stages of awakening were, in antiquity, known as the initiatory degrees of the soul itself. In ancient Egypt, the priests of the temples of Isis and Horus guided initiates through symbolic processes of spiritual death and rebirth. These were not theatrical rituals, but authentic trials of the soul. The neophyte had to traverse internal chaos, the abyss of ignorance, to finally discover the light of wisdom and union with the All. This path was represented by 12 portals of transformation, each corresponding to a higher level of consciousness. In Hindu traditions, awakening was understood as the Kundalini process, the serpentine energy dormant at the spine's base, that, ascending through chakras, awakens spiritual perception and expands consciousness towards samadhi, or illumination. This energetic ascent has its own stages, challenges, and revelations throughout the journey. Buddhism is not foreign to this concept either. Siddhartha Gautama, before becoming Buddha, traversed multiple internal phases: renunciation, doubt, struggle with ego, illumination beneath the fig tree, and finally, selfless service to the world. His followers understood that authentic spiritual awakening implies rupture, clarity, and profound transformation of being. In the mystical texts of Gnostic Christianity, there is mention of knowledge of the heart and the soul's ladder. Awakening is not merely belief or conversion, but a conscious ascent toward the kingdom of heaven within, that place Jesus pointed to when saying, "The kingdom of God is within you." In the Gospel of Thomas, Christ is presented not as external Savior, but as an inner divine spark that must be ignited. Neoplatonic philosophers like Plotinus taught that the soul descended to the physical world to learn, forget, and finally remember its divine nature through a process called anamnesis, sacred remembrance. This process, step by step, stage by stage, was the soul's return to the original source, the One. Even in indigenous peoples, the concept of awakening was present throughout cultures. In shamanic traditions, awakening began with a spirit's calling, a crisis marking transformation's initiation. Spiritual awakening is, in essence, a return, not toward something new, but toward the eternal. It is the process through which the soul, asleep in the illusion of the material world, begins to remember its divine origin and cosmic nature. Although each path is unique, universal stages exist, marking this sacred journey. Stages that are not mere concepts, but inner doors, opening one after another at the rhythm of our evolution. First stage, the dark night of the soul. This stage, often unwanted but absolutely essential, is the breaking point. It is the moment when your old self begins to crumble. Everything you believed you were, your identity, your goals, your beliefs, your relationships, begins to lose meaning. You may feel empty, lost, even disconnected from everything that once gave you security and certainty. The Christian mystics, like Saint John of the Cross, described this moment as the dark night of the soul, a passage of desolation that paradoxically prepares the ground for light. In this phase, the soul enters a state of profound introspection. The ego struggles to maintain control, but something deeper has already awakened within you. Second stage, the inner calling. After the initial collapse, something new begins to germinate. It is faint at first, like a weak spark, but persistent. It is the calling, a subtle yet insistent sensation that there is something more beyond the visible, beyond the everyday world. You begin questioning everything. Who am I really? Why am I here? What does all this mean? You are attracted to spiritual themes, ancient philosophies, symbols, mysteries. You feel an almost magnetic attraction towards self-knowledge and truth. This stage resembles the first awakening in many esoteric traditions. It is when the soul begins to remember. There is no clarity yet, but there is thirst, a hunger for truth and intuition of deeper reality. Third stage, the expansion of consciousness. In this stage, what were once simple intuitions become direct experiences. You begin perceiving reality differently. What was rigid becomes fluid. What seemed separate reveals itself as interconnected. Your consciousness expands. You understand you are more than a body, more than a personal story. You become aware you are part of something much larger. The individual self begins dissolving into the cosmic us. You may experience moments of profound peace, of unity with everything. These moments leave an indelible mark. Duality begins crumbling. Judgment transforms into compassion. Guilt becomes acceptance. Fear becomes presence. Until now, the soul has crossed the thresholds of pain, longing, and expansion. It has begun remembering who it is and has glimpsed reality beyond the veil of illusion. But the awakening journey does not end in passing unity. What comes next is more sacred, becoming what has been remembered, incarnating the light, living awake in every moment. Fourth stage, integration, awakening made life. After revelations comes integration. This stage is often less spectacular but more crucial than all previous ones. You have had visions and deep understandings. Now you must bring them to earth and embody them. Spiritual integration is harmonizing new understanding with daily life. Here many stumble. They want to remain in ecstasy, but true spirituality is proven in simplicity, in daily choices and discipline. You begin purifying your life consciously. You release what no longer vibrates with you. Habits, people, jobs, environments that drain energy. Not from judgment, but from discernment and self-love. This is conscious refinement. You are sculpting your reality from newly awakened consciousness. A profound need for authenticity emerges within. You can no longer sustain masks or false versions. You want complete coherence. What you think, feel, and do must vibrate at the same frequency. Here, spirituality becomes a way of being. Fifth stage, conscious mastery, being at service. The final stage is not retreat or perfection. It is conscious presence in the world, feet on earth and soul in heaven. You are a living bridge between dimensions and worlds. You are no longer seeking, not because you know everything, but because you found within yourself the source containing all. You have passed from seeker to light-bearer and guardian. This mastery is active humility. Everything continues transforming, but you no longer resist. You flow, you serve, you radiate presence. Your guide without imposing, master without disciples, beacon needing no conviction. You simply shine, and your presence transforms others. Your energy naturally impacts those around you. You attract those ready. Your words, silences, and acts become medicine. You are channel of something greater than yourself. This is the Bodhisattva in Buddhism, the realized being in Vedanta, the incarnate Christ in Gnosis, completely present, walking among others as one carrying an ignited torch. You are service itself. Yet this stage demands great humility always. The true master continues learning, falling, polishing their soul eternally. Understanding the stages of spiritual awakening is a powerful revelation. But that understanding only transforms into wisdom when applied to daily life. Illumination does not occur in hidden temples nor atop mountains. It happens in the ordinary, in traffic, uncomfortable conversations, dawn silence, and decisions made when unseen. Here you learn recognizing which stage you inhabit and consciously integrating each one. If, in the dark night of the soul, do not fight the darkness. Observe it, listen to it, speak with it, ask what it came to show you. The most important thing is allowing yourself to feel without judgment or resistance. Write what you experience deeply. Do not isolate completely, but choose carefully whom you share this sacred process with. Practice detachment, not from rejection, but from understanding. Release what no longer vibrates with you. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find yourself. Remember, you are not falling. You are being replanted. If feeling the inner calling, open yourself to mystery without needing absolute answers. Read, investigate, Explore different traditions freely. But beyond external knowledge, listen to your inner wisdom. That is your true teacher. Increase your connection with nature profoundly. Listen to your body's signals. Experiment without rigidity. Meditation, visualization, conscious walks, prayer. Your soul will speak the language you are willing to receive. Create an altar of awakening, not expensive objects, just symbols representing your intention, reconnecting with the sacred. If in consciousness expansion, you are beginning to feel part of something greater, your emotions become subtler and more refined. Your thoughts expand infinitely. The key is not rushing the process. The mind wants rationalizing what you experience, but the soul whispers more than shouts. Watch your words, acts, decisions carefully, not for perfection, but because now you know everything resonates. Choose from presence. Honor your energy as sacred. If integrating all learned, true alchemy begins. You no longer need escaping to forests to feel spiritual. You vibrate high amid urban chaos. But temptation to regress appears. People and patterns attempting dragging you backward. Do not fight them. Thank and choose again consciously. Establish new structures, nutrition, rest, relationships, habits, as acts of love toward your reborn self. Create sacred routine where you meditate, give thanks, clean energy, affirm your path. If, in conscious mastery, you stopped seeking and began living from truth, you are not beaconed to impress, but to illuminate others. You serve. Work does not end. It deepens infinitely. Now that you have traversed the 5 stages of spiritual awakening, perhaps you understand a profound truth. There is no final destination, only constant expansion and deepening. Awakening is not a goal to achieve. It is a sacred way of walking through life with presence. It is the decision to live with the soul's eyes open, even when the world seems asleep and unconscious around you. This journey is not linear or predetermined. It is not climbing a ladder toward perfection, but traversing concentric circles toward the center of your being, again and again, with more truth, more depth, and more compassion. Perhaps today, you are in the dark night, feeling everything crumble and collapse around you. Perhaps you just heard the calling and do not know where to begin or how to proceed forward. Or you are integrating years of internal work without needing labels or approval from others. No matter where you are on this path, if you are walking toward yourself, you are already on the correct path. Awakening is not an isolated event, but a daily decision made consciously. It is asking yourself each morning, from where do I want to live today? From fear or from love? From conditioning or from my essence? And every time you choose your soul, even in the smallest moments, you contribute not only to your evolution, but to everyone's spiritual growth. Because when one human being awakens, even partially, all of humanity illuminates with them in subtle and profound ways. This video does not seek giving you all the answers you crave. It seeks reminding you that you already carry them within your being, that every stage you traverse is part of a divine plan designed by your own higher consciousness to help you remember who you truly are. So when you doubt, when you fall, when you forget your truth, return to this map, not as something rigid, but as a mirror reflecting your highest self back to you always. Remember this deeply. No awakening is too small, no shadow too large for transformation. Everything you live, if traversed with presence and awareness, brings you closer to ultimate truth. Now join this channel of awakened souls. If this message resonated deeply with your heart, subscribe to explore esoteric wisdom and soul mysteries continuously. Give like if something within you awakened profoundly, and share with those ready to remember who they truly are. Because this awakening is not made in solitude, it is made in tribe, in network, in love eternally. You, spirit traveler, in which of these sacred stages do you find yourself today?